Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by for another video here at All I See is W, where we talk about stocks, Bitcoin, and finance. In today's video, we have a lot to cover. I'll be sharing with you the latest updates with Bitcoin. We had a very nice day today for the Bitcoin market, as well as the stocks with the big hodl. So we'll be covering strategy, the big three Bitcoin miners, Mara, Riot, and CleanSpark. I'll be sharing with you latest updates that we're getting with these plays, as well as technical analysis, price predictions. Now, if you're new to this channel, I'm so grateful that you're here. I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's get started, guys. First off, let's take a look at this posting. So Bitcoin has been in a bull market for 15 years. So when you scale back with the creation of Bitcoin, 2011, we see Bitcoin going up. It started, consolidating back down. There was a lot of volatility, but as you look at it, you see Bitcoin in this ascending channel. It just continues to trend upward. Yes, of course, now with the price being over 100,000, you will see less of those volatilities, right? Otherwise, Bitcoin will go to like $1 trillion if we have the same type of volatility as what we saw when Bitcoin was first starting off with. But overall, it will continue to trend up, similar to like the S&P 500. Yes, you'll have corrections, you'll have some recession moments, but overall, it trends up. Bitcoin is here to stay with 21 million Bitcoins available. Bitcoin News posts Bitcoin is going to $1 million whether you like it or not. So in red is basically where the Bitcoin price is. So when you look at this top peak, that's at around 2026. What does that tell you? We have Q3, Q4 for 2025, where we're expecting a very bullish momentum for the price of Bitcoin. So, things are going to look very nice. It's favoring a lot of, the cryptocurrencies as well as Bitcoin. And you see the peak point, which it can, very well reach. That max point is around 300,000, but you have that mean right at that $200,000 marker. So, forecasting that we could very well break through 200,000 by year end. The Bitcoin therapist post strap in, strap on, brace yourself. So we see this, Wall Street cheat sheet psychology market cycle. So, we passed the disbelief, there's hope. We've gone, into that optimism phase, and this is where we currently are right now. So in Q3, Q4, we may very well experience that big time run up. FOMO herd starts kicking in. A lot of people, retail starts downloading apps like Coinbase, Robinhood to try to get into it. That's when FOMO herd kicks in. And at that point, we're at that euphoria phase. Whether Bitcoin cycle will continue through 2026, it's possible. But just based on the historical trend, we have, these next 6 months to have some big time bullish run ups. Bitcoin News also posts is only 5.4% of Bitcoin is left to be mined. So put that into context. So there's only about a million Bitcoins left. And just looking at how much Bitcoin has been purchased by like BlackRock financial institutions, now over like 700,000 Bitcoins. When you look at the public mining or the public company sector, all the Bitcoin treasury companies trying to race one another right now, there has been over 250,000 Bitcoins that has been bought up in the year 2025. And we haven't even completed 2025 yet. But just in total, for the amount of Bitcoins that has been mined in the year 2025 has been 20,000. So 20,000 versus 250,000. Putting that into context, we've already, had Bitcoin treasury companies purchase a fourth of the next 20 years of mining. So that takes out, like there's only about 75%, of Bitcoins to be mined at this rate with how much that's going on. So what does that mean? Bitcoin price is going to continue to skyrocket. It will get more scarce. We're already seeing that on the OTCs and the exchanges. It's getting more and more limited, and we're expecting Bitcoin price to run up. And we've seen that today as well. Bitcoin officially surpasses Google to become the sixth largest asset in the world by market cap. Now, I think as soon as Bitcoin gets to like 130, 150,000, it may very well be neck to neck to like other Mag 7 companies. It's not a matter of if, a matter of when. We heard about Nvidia getting to like $4 trillion in market cap. I mean, Bitcoin's already over like $2.3 trillion in market cap. So if Bitcoin doubles in price 200,000, oh my goodness, it's going to be like right behind gold as the, number two asset class. But it's only a matter of time once Bitcoin will take that leap and become the top number one, top asset class in the entire world. But big time milestone achievement surpassing Google, out of the Mag 7 companies. The professor, he posts today, MSTR, there is no second best bull flag out there. This has to go. So we've seen, what has happened with the most long-term consolidation go on after that run up top to 550. What happened 220 to like, up to the 440 range. And now we're just having this consolidation. I truly think that as Bitcoin starts breaking out, strategy, MSTR stock is going to fly to the moon. I'm forecasting we're going to get to $1,000 by year end. Mark this because I really believe that it's been primed and it's going to start running. Crypto Vici posts about Mara. You are not bullish enough. And just look at this long-term continuation when Mara ran up to like $80 from like $2. That big candlestick. I mean, if you apply that same candlestick now, same performance as what we saw with the last Bitcoin bull cycle, will history rhyme? It may not, repeat itself, but if it does, we're looking at $1,500. And just think about that Mara share going from like where it currently is $18 to $1,500. That's bananas. Calio, Cryptocalio, he posts, last week I expect to see Riot calls worth less than 100,000. So with his current calls, going out to like September 2025, January of next year, $25 call, $30 call, $35 call. So, he's very bullish on the potential squeeze with Riot. But with this amount, I mean, he's saying in the next week, the calls won't be valued at 100K. It'll be way more. But just think about it. If it breaks through these numbers, these calls will definitely be printing, and Cryptocalio will be, making huge bucks. And I really do think Riot has potential for a big breakout after consolidating for so long, which is why, he's taking a bet, on Riot, saying that it may have a potential GME type run. Steve Urkel, he posts clean spark breakout and successful back test this week and a rip right back up beauty. So you see this, downward slope. And then it was until recently, we had that breakout session, and this is looking very good, after that huge long continuation of, just lower lows, lower highs. But now we're seeing that reversal. So, for those who remain patient, this is where we capitalize on huge potential run-ups. Let's take a look at technical analysis of Bitcoin. So right now we're looking at the daily candle, current price of Bitcoin. It took a slight pullback. It today, reached all-time high, got above 112,000, where we are right now, 111,000 at the time of this recording. Key thing is we're above the Ichimoku cloud. RSI is, in the healthy range, 61. That's a good thing. I'm forecasting that in this cycle, we're going to get an RSI of like 85, 90 plus. And when that does happen, we're looking like Bitcoin is set to explode into the new levels, which is a good sign. And we want to see the price stay above the Ichimoku cloud. If it goes below that, we're going to get that magnetized gravitational pull down. We don't want that. Right now, it's sunshine and rainbows, consolidating, and we're going to start seeing that next leg up in the month of July. I really do see us breaking through 120,000. With Bitcoin expected to reach 120,000, 200,000 in the year end, what does that mean for strategy? Well, what are we seeing? I mean, since that run up top of last year, it consolidated for like half a year, and then we had that reversal breakout, lower lows, and now we're seeing a climb up with, higher lows support, but I have it drawn out. We're gonna somewhere break around that $1,000. I think that's gonna be that sweet spot. Just looking at the technicals on the weekly, we're seeing reversal pattern on the MACD. On top of that, relative strength is gradually picking up 63 during the April timeframe. We had extremely oversold situation, but now things are picking up. We're looking very good. We're expecting to have that breakout to $1,000 for MSTR. Let's take a look at Mara's technical analysis. So we see a lot of volatility going on. At one point, we saw November, last year, Mara ramped up to $30. However, when you scale it back even further, you've seen it hit, over $30 on multiple occurrences. It's not a matter of whether it can get there again. It's definitely possible. And we're already seeing the relative strength pick up, from that sub, $10 during April. It's already gained, like from $9 to like $18. So it 1x already. But just from a long-term perspective, we see that MACD reversal. We're beginning to see higher lows established. I have it drawn out on the near term in this month, July, possibly even in August. We're going to get back to that $25, $26. I'm forecasting in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have, Mara price ramp up to that $26 price point. And that's just on the near term. Overall, 2025, Mara can, go bananas. Let's take a look at Riot Platforms, ticker RIOT. So just on a long-term scale, going back from like all of the previous bull cycles, we've seen Riot have like a big wave run up. RSI ran up to like 90, and then years later, last bull cycle, we saw it run up from like $2 to $80. The MACD had a huge run up. RSI ran up over 90. And since then, RSI has been very quiet. But when you look at the MACD on the weekly, we're seeing this reversal. This is a key signal that we want to see. And, I have this green line drawn out. I think that in the near term, in the next couple of weeks, we may very well have a breakout. It's going to get beyond that $18, but I had that price point around that $22. And, just with, Cryptocalio with his calls, at like $30, $35, after we pass the screen, we may very well be off to the races. But this white line is what was previously achieved before. So will history repeat itself? Only time will tell. Let's take a look at CleanSpark. So CleanSpark on the technicals, this is looking very solid just based on the performance on the weekly candle. On the weekly, we see that intersection point on the MACD. We're seeing a reversal. Now we're seeing, higher highs be established after this huge consolidation period in this bull flag. Relative strength has been steady as well, from 48, trending up to 61. Key thing is relative strength hasn't broken out yet. We want it to stay within this range. We don't want it to be like extremely overbought, but when it does, we may very well have a nice run up. I think that the first level achievement is going to be around that, that 17, $18 in green, and then we may very well be off to the races to retest that level of like $24. But first point, I do see, CleanSpark breaking through that $18 trajectory. But that's my overall price targets on the near term course with CleanSpark. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed another episode at All I See Is W, where we covered the latest updates with Bitcoin, strategy, the big three Bitcoin miners, Mara, Riot, CleanSpark. Just with all of the dynamics that's changing, we're hearing a lot about, miners pivoting to becoming an Ethereum treasury company like BTBT, like what we've heard. We hear a lot about companies pivoting over to HPC AI. Now, when you look at it as pure Bitcoin miner plays, you have like Mara and CleanSpark. That really provides opportunity for the big boys with high hash rate scale, including Riot, where it now becomes an oligopoly market where, there's a handful of miners focused on, mining. And that's a good thing because then that will allow for, the big HODL companies, in this case, Mara, Riot, CleanSpark, to take advantage of the Bitcoin mining space with barriers to entry. So keep that in mind. I think there's lots to come with Bitcoin strategy, the biggest, company with the biggest HODL and the miners. So thank you guys. And if you're new, I would really appreciate hitting the like and subscribing. Thank you.